What's up, fellas? It's Rob here with ABL, A Billion Lives. The channel meant to help a billion lives, meaning I had a goal for about 6-7 years now. Still have this goal to help 1 billion lives. The whole point of this channel is to talk about stuff that can really help eventually a billion lives. Right now, we're still in the development stages, and I'm still figuring out all the different topics that I really want to discuss about to monetize this program as time goes on. But as of right now, I just want to have a conversation. I think it's probably possibly one of the most important things to just have. And I want to talk about, because most of these people watching this video is most likely within our generation. And I know a lot of these videos I'm going to get a lot of hate for. And maybe not. I might not even get any views for these beginning videos. The point about it right now is quantity, not necessarily quality. That's my plan of action. But our generation is a bunch of cupcakes. Or dare I say pussies. And I will explain why. So there's nothing wrong with it in a sense, because we're lucky. That's the end of the deal. Now, I consider a lot of people cupcakes. Like a bunch of crybabies that if I tell you the blunt truth, they're gonna bitch about it. Like, grow the hell up. And here's the truth: when people tell me the blunt truth, that shit hurts. So, and if Dan Penny had met me, he'd probably call me a cupcake also. That's the damn truth. Because who knows, like, his interpretation and perspective of things is very different. And the quality of living that he grew up, for example, and what we're growing up is very different also. For example, why are we cupcakes? Like, even our parents, which the average age of our parents right now are definitely within our 40s, 50s, and 60s, for my generation, meaning they've seen war. They've seen war. A lot of them have seen immigration. They've seen 6 or 7 different recessions. They've seen the completely radical changes of a very traditional life to the digital age. They've been to war. We had war for some of our parents and grandparents, World War I, II. There was Vietnam. We've seen soldiers being scrutinized as they came back to the country. They've seen Watergate. They've seen different levels of terrorism and terrorism within cultures and rap and hip hop and jazz and the development of sports. Meaning there's so much that has been seen thus far that they have seen, and plus they're living our time. So just living our time at this time is like, wow, this is really crazy. But to them, it's like, this is really crazy. Because the only difference is society change. It's the way we interact within society. But what they've seen is physical change, pain, blood, sweat, and tears. It's a whole different thing. Here, we're lucky that you can make $1 million a year to simply being on your phone, putting TikTok videos, putting YouTube videos, and doing absolutely nothing. For you to make $1 million back then, you had to save 10 years of $4 an hour and then use that money into real estate. And eventually, it'll take you probably 20 years to have a net worth of, $2, $3, $4, $5 million. And then you'll start hitting your stride when you hit 45, 55 years old. That was normal. That's not normal anymore. So they have given us everything. Our parents, our grandparents, they give us everything. They sacrifice everything. They have the complete right to call us cupcakes. Because you know what? We do have a lot of problems we have to solve. We as in my generation. But we're not at the level of responsibility and leadership yet. We are developing, and we're developing leadership. We're developing these roles. We're getting these positions of power. We're having wealth and finance and getting involved in politics and this and that. But really, I'm going to say it's going to take another 10 years. By 2030 is when we're really going to have power within the whole world, because that's who's really going to run it. It's our generation. It's going to be right now, people within our generation are being taught by people older than us. That way we can run it and do better things than what they did it. But because of our generation prior, the parents and grandparents, there's been less war, less crime, less violence in the whole world generally. The only thing is because the internet is seen more, but it's much less than before. So people say, oh, there's so much violence in the world. But yo, it's 100 times less than what it was 100 years ago. Back 100 years ago, you can commit murder and you will not get caught. You will not get caught. Today, if you commit murder, you have to look over your shoulders for 30 years. 30 years. And after 30 years, like, okay, cool, I'm chill. Because that's the statute of limitations, unless it's rape. That's all, or grape, let's say. Because that's a whole, that doesn't have a statute of limitation. But remember, and because we're soft, and a lot of you are definitely softer than I am, sorry, kind of really grow up, because it's not about, oh, and let me create a GoFundMe and petition and bitch and tell Biden or Trump and I don't like him on social media and blah blah blah. I'm going to do absolutely nothing productive to make the world a better place. Honestly, go to hell, bro, if that's you, because that's probably most of you. In that case, you're taking up space. In this case, what you got to do is figure out, like, bro, if you don't like it, you got to be the change, honestly, because no matter what, like, nothing's perfect. And this is the closest to perfection that human history has had forever. And you're complaining about it. You're only complaining about it because you don't have a time machine and you cannot see what happened in 1917 or in 1943 or 1865. You can't see this. You don't understand the emotion and the trauma that these people experience. We don't understand it. I don't, like, the people possibly closest to understanding this are people who went to Iraq and Afghanistan. But even that war, even though it was a really, really significant war, the level of magnitude of violence in that war is absolutely nothing compared to, the Korean War, Vietnam, World War I, World War II. It was awful. I don't agree with it. But let's be honest, violence is getting less and less and less. And people within this country, specifically in the Western culture, we're number one badasses. No one wants to, there's not a country out there that wants to go ahead and tackle us home front. As of right now. Why? Because they know we will fuck them up 100%. So even people in this country hasn't seen a home front war since 1865. We're spoiled. It's been 160 years of peace. Now, the most peace you're going to have, the biggest problem is societal problems like civil rights and whatnot. I agree with that. But what you're doing is creating more divide than unity. And you gotta learn to stop being a bitch. People deserve rights. People deserve this and this and this. But you also have to learn to grow some balls. Because most people here don't have them. And not because you're a female, but because you don't have any guts. And you don't have any guts. How the hell do you expect to prosper in this life? Things are changing so fast, so radically. If you don't learn and hop on the train right this moment, or as of yesterday or the day before, you are going to die a very poor and miserable person. Because the same thing, our parents will say, yeah, there's higher levels of peace, but there's going to be higher levels of conflict. Because there's been so much peace. The longer peace happens, meaning that the bulk of violence is going to happen, boom, all at once, like a big explosion. It's a bubble. And the amount of problems that we have to solve because of the generation prior is very great. And here's the deal. Since most of you don't want to do anything with your life, it's going to be up to the very few to have their opinions put into action to make it work. And it's your fault for not learning. So in the end of the day, don't complain, don't bitch, because if you're just sipping beer all day long, shooting your gun, and not really using the internet productively other than like masturbating and fingering yourself or whatever, you're the problem with this country. Suck it in, accept it. And if you don't believe it, I want you to put it in there, eat some mushrooms, a lot of it, have an ego death, grow, and then you'll grow up and figure out that you can be the solution. Because I don't want you to be the problem, and I don't think you do either.